Okay, we're getting ready to work and paint our color wheel. Currently we have our grade sheet, and for formative we actually labeled the color wheel, and in our classroom you can see the color wheels hanging up there too. Before I come up with my designs for my color wheel, I want to do some practice ideas on paper. What you should have is some square pieces of paper, have a ruler and a pencil. Now there's 12 spots on the color wheel, and for me to get started to make my 12 sections, I crisscross. Sounds like geometry when you bisect your angles, and we want to make sure that we can go exactly through the middle. So if I go 2 this way, ooh, that turned out pretty good, and right this way, so this is what it looks like so far. So if I do 2 here, I'm going to do that same thing in this direction and count and make sure I have my 12. Yep, through the middle and through the middle. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, now to go get from that to something like this, I can show you how to do that. This was a star pattern. This was also a star pattern. This is just like a box pattern. This one is just using like curvy lines too. So we'll start with the curvy lines. So let's come real close. We need to start towards the middle and go all the way around, just like that. Then go all the way around again and make sure it touches. And you're going to think, how many do I need? It touched. When we go out this way, we want about 8 or 9 spots to go out this way, and so far I only got a few. So I'm going to go like this and make sure it touches and keep going. Now I'm going to go all the way around to the outside, touch, and pretty soon I got to recount again. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I'm getting there. Alright, and then I might do a couple more right here. Maybe hit these corners. And there I go. That's kind of the basics. Alright, so that would be my 12 right there. This one, I wanted to have fun and not even use a ruler for my design. I just went like this. I guess you don't need to do the sound effects. But if you do this, it still has to go through the middle. So you get your 12 spots. Let's see, it's getting pretty close. I always count and make sure I got my 12. And that's a good way to get started. It's a radial balanced design. If you want to do the star, you just have to keep going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and then down so it touches again. And just keep radiating it. I might try to put one in here too. So anyways, now we get to start the fun part, which is painting. I usually like to start with red. Red is one of my primary colors. When you see my paints right here, these are my tempera paints, and we're going to use the 3 primary colors to start, our yellow, our red, and our blue. To mix our tints, we'll have some white. To mix our shades, we're going to have some blacks. So this is how I got started on this one. This one is another one that I was starting on. I did all my reds, then I did my blues, then I did my yellows, and then I actually started to mix these 2 to make my purples. I'd mix these 2 to make my greens, these 2 to make all of my oranges. Okay, now I know in the store you can go buy purples and oranges and greens, but I want you to be able to mix these, all right, to make your secondary and intermediate colors. So this is one I'm going to demo and work on with you. When I paint, I like to put newspaper down, like this. Then I don't have to wash so much. I have a water cup, and the temperature really doesn't matter. I like to keep a little piece of paper towel. I like to have a little scratch piece of paper. And I'm going to get my paints ready. Okay, so I have my red, and I'm going to start with white. So, alright, I can use an ice cream bucket lid as a palette, or I can use other things like this as a paint palette. Okay, so I'm going to use this to get started. I'm going to push my sleeves up, and I've got some brushes right here. And it doesn't matter. Let's see what ones I have. Oh, I'm kind of stubborn. Alright. Okay. So I'm going to use one of my brushes. Make sure it's rinsed. And I like to squeeze out the water, because then I'll know that I have a nice point to my brush. Just like what you see right here, we're going to be painting our tints. Tints is white plus your color. We'll have our pure red hue, and then we'll have some shades that's red with a little tiny little bit of black. So that's my goal. So I'm going to take some red, put it in my palette. I really don't need too much. I don't want to go digging in my white and contaminate my color. So I'm going to really make sure my brush is clean. I'm going to squeeze it out, make sure it's clean. Then I'm going to grab some white and put it over here. So I'm using my brush almost like a little transporter brush. And I'm going to rinse. Swish like a fish, right? Squeeze out the water. So I have my brushes nice and pointed, and it's not going to be all runny, because I want my paint to stay thick. So I'm going to take just a itty bitty bit of red, tiny, and I'm going to mix it in. And I'm going to mix it, and I don't want it to look all streaked. And I'm going to mix, and I'm going to keep mixing. Now, even though I'm kind of excited about this tint, which is white plus a little color, my brush is probably a little messy and maybe even streaked. So I like to rinse my brush, reload my brush, and sometimes I even test it out on a piece of paper and see if I like it. Would that be good for my first one? You know, and if I started brand new, that would be very good for my first spot. Just like that. I'm going to rinse. Here comes the fun. Of course, I'm going to take a little bit more red. Just a little. Never want to overdo it. Mix it in. And hey, I can't really tell if it's the same or not. I just can't tell. Just can't tell. I like to twirl my brush, get some of that paint out. But I always like to rinse it. Get all that water out. Oh, that's a nice point to that brush. Load it up. Let's see. Oh, let's see. If I put that next to it, oh yeah, check that out. That's good. That's not too much of a change. And that would actually turn out right here. I'm going to paint over that one because that was a little too dark. And I'm going to go add a little more red, add a little more red, add a little more red. And this was actually my pure red. So you can pretend I went all the way to here. When we want to paint shades, shades is your color, and you're going to add a little black. So I'm going to get my black and pretend that I have all of this done. Now this black is super, super, super strong, for real. So I'm going to take my black, I'm going to put some in here, and I really don't need too much. Just a little, and move it so I don't dump it. So when I have all my tints done, I'm going to paint my shades. So I have my idea, I like it. If you notice, look, you see this little R? This is where I'm going to paint my reds. I labeled all the way around, red, red, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, green, blue, 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 all the way around, because it's easy to get things in the wrong spot. And I really didn't want to draw it too dark because I don't want my pencil lines to show up and be ugly. Okay, so I didn't want to draw it too dark. So now I get my red. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of black, and hopefully it's not too much. And mix it in. Sometimes I can't tell if it's enough or not. Okay, let's see if this works. If this is my shade, my first shade, I can't tell. I really can't. I'm going to have to put some regular red right next to it and see if it's the same. It's got a little change, just a little bit. So I actually think I want more change than that. Oh gosh, I might have overdone it. Uh-oh, getting too excited, and then I think I might have went too dark. Yeah, that's a big jump. Okay, so I have the color I like. I hope I mixed up enough. When I run out, I get kind of bummed out. So I'm going to go like this. I typically like to go around the outside and then fill it in. And sometimes I even wait a little bit. Sometimes I blow on it. And sometimes it needs a second coat. So eventually I'd add a little more black and go darker, darker, darker. So this is kind of like your future. So this one I did my tints getting to the pure hue of red, and then my shades getting dark, dark, dark. I never did go pure black. I had fun when I did my blues because I started with white and added just a little blue to get to my pure hue, which was right here. I'm sad about this. I think I ran out of my color. Can you look how thin that is? That should have had one more coat. So I'm sad about that. Yellow is so tricky because you can't get too many light tints. So I put my pure yellow hue right here, and it was still tricky to get 3 tints from it, but it's easier to go darker. And depending on what kind of black you have, it might actually start to look a little dark green. So I would do your reds and your blues and your yellows, and then start to mix when you do these, okay? So then you mix some of these together, put it on your palette, and then start from there. So enjoy your color wheel. Definitely email and ask questions. This is going to be your goal. So you can see that I use just these primary colors. So red, the red-orange, yellow-orange, yellow, yellow-green, green, blue-green, blue-green, blue, blue-violet, red-violet, and back to our colors that we have. So there's 12 colors on the color wheel. So enjoy. The paper size that you should have is about 10 by 10. So try to find paper that's about 10 inches by 10 inches. And squares work the easiest. Okay, thank you.